To get national streaming sports on Roku TV, channel search National Streaming Sports, tap on our logo. On laptop, tablet, or mobile phone, download the free Roku app, channel search, tap on our logo. For smart TV, order the Roku device from the Roku store, hook it up to your TV, channel search National Streaming Sports, and tap on the logo.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network. I am your host, the Conn Man. And this evening with me, I have a very special guest. And, me being the NBA historian that I think I am, I guess I'm going to be put in my place. Folks, this evening we have a man by the name of Paul McKeskey. Paul, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Belated Thanksgiving.
For those of you who might be living in a barn or somewhere that don't know who Paul McKeskey is, I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown. McKeskey, Paul, played at Crespi Carmelite High School in L.A., California. He went on to play 2 seasons at the University of Kansas, where he accumulated 680 rebounds, placing him 15th in school history. Then it goes on to say that he was drafted in 1979, second round, 42nd overall pick by the Houston Rockets. He played from 1979 to 1992, which is an outstanding career. He is 7 feet, by the way, so he played center, of course. And then we'll discuss his coaching career as we go on. But on the Bucks, McKeskey played a role as a key bench player on several deep playoff runs. During the 1984 NBA playoffs, he averaged career postseason best of 6.1 and 5.5 rebounds and only 20 minutes a game. On March 28th, 1985, McKeskey scored a career-high 21 points, along with grabbing 7 rebounds and a 121-116 win over the New York Knicks. So, folks, that gives you a little in-depth career history of Mr. Paul McKeskey. So, Paul, the reason why I wanted you on the show, and thanks to a good friend of ours, I'm able to have this as well, because without him, I probably wouldn't be able to get in contact with you. So I owe him a debt of gratitude, which I'll be bringing him up in a little while. But I, again, claim that I am a basketball historian, and I specifically like the Big East in college and the NBA the way it was played back in the day. I was born in 1960. I've been following the game since 1968, 69. So I got to see Bill Russell. I got to see everybody and anybody damn near. And so I'm a student of the game. I played the game. And it's an honor to have you on as well. And I want to get your information, because this is about you, not about me. I want the folks to know a little bit about you, your history, your grind, and your journey.
Well, you just went through it. So, I grew up in Southern California, had a basketball in my hand since I could remember. My dad played at University of Detroit, and then he played at Gonzaga for 2 years before he went into the military. So I grew up outside of L.A. With a great senior class. I went to Crespi High School. So I think you might remember some of these guys that were in my senior class in the L.A. area. There was Bill Laimbeer, David Greenwood, Roy Hamilton, Reggie Theus, Bill Cartwright, Brad Holland, just to name a few. So we had a great class. I was recruited by everybody in the country, and fell in love with University of Kansas and Lawrence. The town of Lawrence, which is pretty much, if you close your eyes and pictured a college campus, that's what University of Kansas is. It's on a hill. They got brick buildings with ivory-covered brick buildings, and then Allen Fieldhouse, the house that Wilt Chamberlain built. It's a great venue to this day. I believe the best place to play college basketball in the country, bar none. I was there for 4 years, graduated in 4 years, met my wife there, and then was drafted in the second round by the Houston Rockets. and I played behind some guy named Moses Malone, who
Yeah, he was
he was okay. Yeah, he was MVP of the league that year. So I pretty much watched him play. He played 40 minutes and I played 8. But I learned more from him. God rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago. I learned more from him practicing against him and just listening to him than a lot of players can learn on the court. I played 12 years in the NBA, mostly for the Milwaukee Bucks. I played for 8 years in Milwaukee. We had some great teams. We just couldn't get to the finals because we couldn't beat the great Celtic teams or the great Philly teams. They always seem to have our number. And then I've been coaching for 20 years. I coached prep school. I coached in college at USC. I coached in the G League for 8 years. I coached in the NBA for the Dallas Mavericks for 5, and then in Charlotte for 2. I've coached internationally for the Jamaican national team. I've coached for the Great Britain national team in the 2012 Olympics. On that staff, the head coach was Chris Finch, who was in the Timberwolves head coach, and Nick Nurse was the other assistant, who is the head coach of Philly. And then I've coached in Canada and a couple of the minor leagues. So my whole life has been basketball. I love basketball. So that's kind of, I'm semi-retired here in Las Vegas with my wife, Linda. Both our sons live here in Vegas. One's a police officer and one does security for Caesars. They're both married. So we had them all over yesterday for Thanksgiving. It was a great evening watching football and then, watching our Packers win. And, that's pretty much my life in a nutshell. Goodbye. See you later.
Now that I got you on, now I want to go back. I want to go back to after your great career at University of Kansas and going into the NBA. What was it like? Can you explain to the viewers? Because a lot of them probably don't know firsthand, and that's why I like having people like you who actually experienced it instead of reading a book or reading the stats. I got you right here. What was it like transitioning to the NBA?
Well, like basketball, it is like that, and I've talked to players. I actually did clinics in Reno for high school players this past weekend. But every level of basketball is an adjustment and a step up. So, you got your grade school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, then you go to NBA or professionally overseas or wherever it might be, and it's always a step up. The athleticism gets better, the talent gets better. The numbers are limited. I mean, when I was drafted, there's 15 teams in the NBA right now for 450 players. When I was drafted, I think there's only 12 teams or 13. So, limited player spots. And my goal after starting at Kansas for 4 years was to have a 10-year NBA career if I could do it. But my first goal was to get through training camp with the Houston Rockets, who had great players that I watched growing up. Moses Malone, Calvin Murphy, Rudy Tomjanovich, Mike Newland, Robert Reed. All these players. I came from Kansas where I was a starter, and now I'm coming into this training camp where there's 18 guys here, and only 12 of us are going to make the team, and all those guys are on. So, I started my career with having a list of 18 players in my hotel room. And then when a player got cut, I marked them off my list. And as soon as I could get the 13th guy marked off, I knew I made the team. And, so it was a battle to physically, mentally, talent wise. I mean, these guys were grown men. They've been playing, for years and years. And, their talent level, their athleticism is, you can't really prepare for it. You can try, but until you're there, you can't really be ready for it. And at first, it might be a little bit of a shock, but then you got to quickly get over that shock and be put right into, battle mode. I got to make this team. I got to do what I got to fill a role and make this team. I mean, I remember the first time playing against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I watched him play at UCLA and in the pros, and I'm guarding him, and I'm watching that pretty sky hook, and man, that looks great. That's awesome. And finally, one of my teammates said, "Hey, Mo, you got to guard the guy." So, it's just, I played again, when I first got in the league, from the Moses Malones to the Dr. J's to the Bobby Joneses, those guys to the Creams. to the Bill Waltons, and then getting to play with Michael Jordans and Larry Birds and Magic Johnsons, and you just kind of feel your way, and the longer you get there, the bigger niche you can make for yourself. I started for a lot in my second year in Detroit, but after that, I was a guy coming off the bench, being able to do stuff that a lot of people don't want to do. Dive
Right.
on the floor, be physical, play defense, take charges. And I found out really early in my career that if I did that, I could have a career. And so that's what I did. I remember, you'll love this, in training camp, I'm trying to make the team, and Calvin Murphy, for you guys out there that don't know him, he was like 5'10", 5'11", really quick shooter, great scorer, one of the best little men to play in the NBA, so to speak. But I remember, like, after the third practice, he came up to me and said, "Hey, Tonka." He called me Tonka because I played like a truck. He said I said pitch like a truck. So he said, "Hey, Tonka, you want to make this team?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Then set picks for me. Set picks for me." So all I did in training camp was go find Murph and set a pick. Go find Murph and set a pick. And then, 2 weeks later, I was on the team.
Oh, that is great. Oh man. Again, the reason I want you to expound on is I believe the area that you played was the best because of the physicality, and there weren't as many 5,000 different rule changes the way it is now. I think the game was more honest, I guess, and respectful because you really had to earn your spot. You went in the paint. I'm sure you can attest to what I'm going here with this. You guys, right? That's why I had you on, because I want you to let these people know what it was really like when matter of fact, I don't know if you was there that night when Kareem banged out. So I think it was Kent Benson, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he punched. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of times people don't know. Maybe not that incident because I don't know specifically, but a lot of times when it got physical like that, players didn't get kicked out the game. They continued to play. Am I correct?
Yeah, you couldn't sell wolf tickets back then. If we're gonna have a problem and it gets serious, we're gonna fight. I mean, like, fight, not like push and shove and hold me back fight, but like we're gonna. And you had to stand up for yourself, because if you had the reputation of backing down all the time, the word got around the league, and that's what you're going to be. So, you talk about, not how physical it was. I mean, we were playing Philly when I was in Milwaukee, and me and Charles Barkley threw punches at each other, and they stopped the game, and they didn't even call a foul. They didn't call a foul. They got us together and said, "Hey, you, stop it, knock it off. Okay, go back and play." So that's just the way it was. I mean, but you know what it did though? What it did, Michael, for me is, they talk about, now there was trash talking. Bird was one of the best. Gary Payton was awesome. But really the trash talking was to a minimum, because if you trash talked, someone could knock the crap out of you down the other court.
Right.
So you had to be respectful, and I think now could say whatever, and pushes and all that stuff, and there's more trash talking now. But back then you had to stand up for yourself. But once you did that, then you got the respect for everybody else, and then it became a part of, okay, we're going to play physical. Michael, if you came in the lane, I'm going to hit you with an elbow where you come across. I'm not going to try and break your nose or anything, but you're going to feel me, but I'm not going to try and do something dirty. But if people stepped across the line and did something dirty, like low bridge somebody or cheap shot at somebody, it was taken care of on the court, and it was understood. Don't do that, because you're risking that player's livelihood. And that was just a respect level. But, I'm telling you, Michael, back then, we didn't shake nobody's hand before the game, and we sure as hell didn't exchange jerseys after the game.
I love it. I love this. Paul, usually on my show, I let my guests do the talking and let them, because it's about them. It's about me giving you your flowers. So I want to know what you want to talk about, what you want to express, and anything you want the viewers to take in. because I know everything about you guys. I know because I've been a long time. But for the viewers that may not know, because we have a lot of young viewers that may not know, we're going to go into your coaching in a little while. But I mean, as far as going back on your playing career, and what was probably one of the best experiences, and maybe one of the worst experiences that you ever been through. I want people to get an inside view of something that they may not be able to get just watching the damn game or what. I want them to get something inside.
Well, first of all, you know, people need to understand that, I've got it before too. Like, you're the 11th or 12th guy on the bench and you can't play. That's a bunch
Uh-huh.
of BS. We all
Yeah.
could play. Everybody in the league could play. Some get different opportunities, some other opportunities. What young players should know is they need to everybody can't shoot 30 times a game. Everybody can't be a scorer. Everybody can't do their step backs. Everybody can't do that. Some players have to do other stuff. And you need to find a role. And like I hear all the time, well, players don't know their roles. Yes, they do. They know them, but they don't accept them. You have to accept your role. I accepted my role. I was always ready to play, always early, knew the plays, could step in a game. I played for the great Don Nelson, and I'm coming off the bench. I might not play for a month. And then he might put me in against the Lakers and Kareem for 30 minutes that night. I better be ready. So you need to accept your role, find a role and then accept it. I mean, you're looking at the NBA today. If I was a 7-footer, you see all these 7-footers trying to shoot threes and all that stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. But I'll tell you what, every NBA player is looking for. I mean, every NBA team is looking for this 7-footer. Everyone. Everyone is looking for a 7-footer that can run the floor, protect the rim, catch lobs and finish, pass effectively, do dribble handoffs, rebound, and play defense and play hard. That's what you could make 15, 20 million a year just doing that.
That is absolutely
or
correct.
whatever you score. So that's what they're looking for. If young players out there can realize that, there's millions of players out there, and there's only 450 NBA players. Now there's leagues overseas, but you got to find that niche, and that's what I did when I played. I was a 4-year starter at Kansas University. I played in every game and played a lot, but I needed to learn how to come off the bench, learn how to be effective, learn what can I help this team? How can if I can set a pick or dive on the floor, the coach loves me now. He's going to put me in more. And then, of course, later in my career, I knew how to hit a three and pick and pop and punish, the Patrick Ewings and the Kareems when they wouldn't come out on me. I could knock down an 18-footer. So that I learned that really quickly in my career. And the other thing that people out there need to understand is those great players like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon, and I could go on and on. Dominique Wilkins, I'm throwing all these names. I played against all those guys. All those guys, different players, different talents, different personalities. They all had two things in common. Number one was they played hard all the time. And number two is they learned how to get better all the time. So when Michael Jordan came in the league, he'd get to the basket and finish and create fouls and hang in the air and all that stuff, but he really wasn't a great outside shooter. So we would sag off him a little bit and double team when he came to the basket because he wasn't a great passer. So what did he do? He went and worked hard on his jump shot and worked hard on his passing. And guess what? He won a couple championships because he passed to two guys, Steve Kerr and John Paxson, who knocked down threes and won championships. So he learned that. The other thing is they played the hardest in practice as anybody. They were competitive and played hard in practice. Don't matter if it's a shooting drill, layup line drill, conditioning drill. They wanted to be first and beat your butt. That's what they wanted to do, and that's what they did. So all the other players, if your best player is doing that, what do? You got to do that too. So they led by example and by word. And that's what people need to understand. I mean, competitiveness, leadership, playing hard, giving it your all, no load management, no taking days off. Then you become a legend and what these guys were. I'll tell you a story about Michael Jordan that Steve Kerr, who's a friend of mine I played with, and we've known each other for a long time. But he told me one time, because we used to fly commercial. So we get to the airport, you got to wait in line, you got to check your bag, you get on the plane, you got to get off the plane, you got to wait for your bag, you get your bag, and then you get on, load on the bus and you go. Well, Steve said, every year Michael Jordan would win thousands of dollars off the rookies on the team. I go, how would he do that? Well, when every time they would land coming back from a road trip and land in Chicago, he would bet them, $500 or whatever. Hey, I bet you right now, Michael, my bag will come off this conveyor belt before yours. And the rookie go, okay, I'll take that bet. I got a shot at it, right? My bag might come off first. And he won every time. Every time his bag was first before all the rookies. And what they didn't know, and what Steve found out, is because Michael Jordan knew all the baggage handlers at the airport and paid them $100 each to put his bag on first. So his bag came out every time first.
That's incredible. Wow. That is awesome.
And Michael, that's the other thing about like the old time NBA, and I'm old, and but the experience of playing on a team was more than just playing in the games. It was practice. It was getting on a plane and playing cards, and hanging out at the hotel, and we didn't have private jets, so we stayed over and having a meal, and that kind of camaraderie is was something that I think is missing a little bit in today's NBA. And the other thing that is missing is mentors. Now, I think young players who are younger and younger, Michael, they're 18 years old, given millions of dollars and thrown in this, Shark Tank of all these pros and expected to perform on the court. But also, I never had money before. What do I do with this? And when I played, it was always the rookies who made the team always had a veteran that took them under their wing. Rudy Tomjanovich was mine and Moses Malone in Houston. And, I'd never been on a plane very much. I never really ate at restaurants. I never checked in a hotel. So they taught me how to tip, how to tip waitresses, how to tip the bellman when he takes your bag, what to do in these scenarios of, just life as a professional athlete. And they took, they spent time, and then that lent into, okay, Moses, if I get in the game, how am I going to guard Kareem? How am I going to guard, oh, well, he likes to do this and he doesn't like to do that. And if you could push him a little bit, you might, little stuff like that. And I think that's missing in the NBA today. You see, like teams like Miami Heat did that a lot. They had Adonis Haslam, who was on their team, he's like 100 years old, but he's valuable on the bench and in the locker room and on the plane and teaching these guys. And I think that's a lost art in the NBA today. And these guys were doing that, knowing that some of these rookies are trying to take their job, but they still went past that, and showed us what to do. And I think that, and I think the NBA. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say, I'm one of I just found out like 4,200 NBA players ever in the game. Over 100. There's only been a 4,200 of us ever, and I just think that the young players are taking it a little for granted, and the NBA, I'm sorry, is letting them. I mean, my God, Michael, how could you sit on the bench during an NBA game when you're not suited up and wear shorts and a hat and frickin' sunglasses? That's embarrassing. That's not professional. I mean, and I don't understand. It started happening when the COVID hit, and they're playing in Orlando in the one area, and they let coaches wear sweats and everything. I'm not against that, but then they let players get lackadaisical and be on the shorts on, I mean, shoot, if I see a player on the bench like this, I mean, come on, man, that's not professional. That's not a good image. I mean, I'm not saying you have to wear a suit, but you need to wear some nice clothes. And, I think that's a part of a problem of the NBA a little bit, of getting lackadaisical and not holding them responsible for stuff like that.
Do you think, now I'm going to ask you a question because I had Kermit Washington on my show, and at one time he was president of the Players Association at one point. And I kind of asked him the same thing. What do you think, and what role does the Players Association have as far as to what you're saying? Because everything now, as you know, has to go through them in order to, come to some agreement. What part do you think they play in the way that the structure of the NBA is today?
Well, I think they play some part, but the Players Association is supposed to take care of the players. That's what they're supposed to do. They represent the players.
Right.
So all these players are young guys. So what do they want? They want to sit on the bench in shorts. They want to wear hats. So that's what the Players Association projects. Now the league, the NBA, is
Right.
their other counterpart, and they're the ones that should be able to step up and say, "Hey, listen, guys, you can be casual on the bench, but you can't wear flip flops and shorts. I'm sorry." And that's where that comes in. I think it's more on the league than it is on the Players Association. Because I'm a member of the Retired Players Association, and uh, we've been around for a long time, and you know, we have meetings and talk about stuff and insurance and things like that. But the Players Association is for the players. Who controls what the league looks like? The
Mm-hmm.
league does. They set the rules. Now, have confrontation like the league when in the next negotiation say, listen, guys, you're going to have to wear a suit and tie on the bench when you're not playing. And then the Players Association going to go, we ain't doing that. We're not signing up for that. We want shorts and flip flops. Then the
Right.
NBA come back and say, you know what, you don't have to wear a suit, but you have to wear like nice jeans and a nice shirt. And then the Players Association could go, okay, that's cool. That's how that works. But it has to be kind of a mutual thing. But and here's what I'll say, Michael. You talk about the way the game has changed. Obviously, the 3-point shot has come in and changed it. I mean, I talked on another show the other day. NBA teams are averaging 35 to 40 3-point shots taken a game. That
Yes.
means there's 60 to 80 by both teams. When I
Mhm.
play, the average shots, 3-point shots that were taken in a game, the average was 5. 5.
Now, imagine.
Larry Bird took 3 threes a game. That's what he took. Now in today's game, he would be taking 20. But that's the change. But when you talk about the difference in the game, every rule that's been put in for the last 25 years has helped the offense, right?
Oh,
Every rule has helped the offense. No zone, no goaltending, no hand checking, no bumping players when they come across the lane. There's a rule in the NBA you cannot impede the offense. The defense cannot impede the offense. That means if you're an offensive player, I'm a defensive player, and we're cutting to the ball at the same time, you have the right of way over me. that's
no,
mind-boggling to me. So
I'm a I know about.
I can't impede you from getting to
Right.
the ball, which that makes no sense to me. The ball is live. We should both get it. But every
Exactly.
rule is meant for the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the NBA should allow zone defense because if you're a coach in the NBA and you can't figure out a good offense against his own defense, you shouldn't be coaching. That's my opinion. And secondly, with the way the guys shoot in the NBA and can attack the rim, you can't sit in the zone very long. It's
Right.
you just can't. You can't physically. So why not let it? The NBA is the only league in the world, high school, college, FIBA, WNBA, Olympics, World Games, the only league in the world that you can't play zone in. How about that? So
Oh,
so you should be able to play zone, and I think they should put the international goaltend rule in. So once it hits the rim, it's live.
right.
You can
Mm-hmm.
knock it off, or you
Mm-hmm.
can dunk it in.
Right.
And the G League's been playing with that for over 10 years now. And, it takes some questions out of it, get some excitement in it, but it really doesn't come into effect but 3 or 4 times a game. But I think they should do that also.
I appreciate you talking about your playing career. Now, let's discuss your coaching career. You coached from 1994 to 2018. Can you talk about your coaching experience and what got you involved in coaching? And the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said before, I loved the game of basketball since I was a kid, and I'm smart enough X and O's guys. You can see my board back here that when I watch the game, I see plays and actions and strategies, and I've always kind of done that, but I got more into it after Kansas when I went into the NBA and studied scouting reports and players' tendencies and all this stuff, and I really loved it. And when I was done playing, people ask me when I retired. I never retired. They just stopped paying me. I mean,
Uh,
I didn't retire. Oh, hey, that's it. I don't want to play anymore. No, that's not how it worked. So after my NBA career, I played over in France for a year. Then I
well,
played in the CBA, which is the minor league, and I was a player coach. So I was a player, but it also was in the coaching meetings and the strategy sessions, and that kind of got my juices flowing. But right at the end of my career, I had an investment group company out of Milwaukee that wanted to hire me and train me to become an investment broker in Milwaukee, which could have turned into a nice, career. But at the same time, I still love basketball, and I went to the Chicago pre-draft camp that was done before the NBA draft, and I met a lot of coaches and general managers and scouts and all this whole different world that I found out about. And I was still on the edge. I didn't know which way I wanted to go. Investment banker's more solid than coaching, which is a very difficult career. I've moved 28 times, but when I talked to my wife Linda, who we've been married for over 40 years now, back then, I talked to her on the phone and said, no one's giving me an opportunity here. It's not happening. And maybe I'll just go to investment banking. And she goes, no, you're going to stay there. You're going to try and get it because I can tell in your voice, your love of the game is more than a love of some investment banker thing. So after that, I was a player coach in the CBA, which was the minor league back then. Then I was a assistant coach in the CBA for a couple of years. Then I was a head coach in the CBA for a year, and then became a part-time scout for some NBA teams. Was kind of bouncing around here and there and moving different places. I coached at USC for a year, and then I got an opportunity in the G League, D League back then, G League now. And I was an assistant coach in Rio Grande for the Rockets, and then I was a head coach in Reno for the Sacramento Kings, and that's kind of where I got my start. And then I was hired by Don Nelson, my old coach in Milwaukee and in Dallas, with Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki and Mike Finley, that group. And I was there for 5 years, and then I got on the bench in Charlotte for a couple of years, and then I bounced around in some minor leagues and I coached internationally. But I just love the game. I can break it down. I can break film down. I can do drills on the floor. I can come up with strategies against the zone defense or offense, quick hitters. I love spacing and ball movement and player movement. I was just doing a clinic for high school teams in Nevada over the weekend, and we talk about what you need to do on offense. You need floor spacing, ball movement, player movement, and I told them the Coach Mo 3-second rule, and that's you have 3 seconds to do 3 things. So when you catch the ball, you have 3 seconds to do 3 things. If you're open in your range, you shoot it. If the lane is open to the basket, you drive it. And if your teammate's open, you pass it. So you only have 3 seconds to do those things. So you keep it simple. I catch. If I'm open, I'm shooting it. If the lane's open, I drive it. If my teammate's open, I swing it. It's very simple. And if you play that way, I have drills that I incorporated. And after about 2 hours, these players were loving it because they're moving. Everybody touches the ball and everybody gets shots. And that's my philosophy as a coach. And if players can really play in that type of system, like I told my G League guys, I had G League guys, probably 10 to 15 players that I coached in the G League that went up to the NBA. And, I would tell them, listen, if you can play this kind of offense where you move and you cut and you help your teammates and you set picks and you roll the basket, you create spacing, you do stuff for your teammates, you can play anywhere in the world. You can go, the Knicks can call you up, you can go there, you can fit in. You could get a call from a team in Spain and you could go there and you could play tomorrow night because you have this philosophy of this general basketball. You could fit in with any team anywhere. And then you do the other plays and stuff like that. And that's what I loved sharing along my years of coaching. And, a lot of players, when they come into minor leagues and, well, I got to score 30, 40 points a game, and that's how the NBA is going to look at me. No, they're not. They don't care about that because if you get called up to the NBA, guess what? Who's in late? Okay, there's Anthony Davis. Okay, there's LeBron. Okay, there's Reeves. Okay, there's Hachimura. I'm going to get 5 shots, not 30. So you need to be able to play that way and be valuable to them. And if you can absorb that, like one of my favorite guys that I coached, I've coached some great guys in the G League, and they've gone on to NBA or got back to the NBA. Garrett Temple was one of my favorite players. Garrett
Mm-hmm.
Temple played at LSU, 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
combo guard, really good defender. But what he was a great teammate. He could score when needed, great passer. He could guard 1 through 4 if you wanted him to. Great teammate on and off the floor. And he only averaged 12 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds for me. And he's had a 12-year NBA career. He's made over $100 million. But he didn't score 30 points a game. He scored 12, but he fit that mold and was perfect.
You know, some too, Paul, that you just remind me of someone who I'm sure you're familiar with. I think he had like a 15 or 16-year career, Kevin Ollie. And he wasn't a big time scorer as well, but he knew the fundamentals and he was a great teammate, great on the bench. Obviously, he was kind of a leader, and that carried through, and that's why he had an extended NBA career as well. So what you're saying is factual. Now,
I coached Kevin Ollie. I coached Kevin Ollie in the minor league in CBA in Hartford, Connecticut. I coached him for a year. He was my point guard before he went to the NBA.
I must have saw you then, because one of the person who recruited him is one of my best friends in the world, David Lato. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah,
David Lato.
Yeah.
And now David happens to be working for Kevin Ollie for Overtime Elite. Man, small world. What a small world, God. That's incredible.
Kevin was, just like you said, a great teammate, leadership, smart, did what it takes to win. He was a coach on the floor. I could call him over and say, hey, Kev, we need to get Chanel Scott, St. John's. We need to get him on the block. Okay, coach, let's run the cross pick. And yeah, okay, do that. He was that kind of guy. And, had a great NBA career where he's just a solid player, but then was head coach at UConn, and he's still coaching. And, one of those guys that, there's very few superstars. There's actually very few all-stars. Like I'll tell people, the NBA is made up of 80% role players, 80% of Mokeskis, and then there's 15% of all-stars. The guys that make the all-star team. Then there's 5% of superstars. LeBron James's, Luka's, Giannis's, the Joker. That's only 5% of the league. Only 5%. So why don't you try to be some of the 80% instead of the 20%?
Now, let me ask you another question while I got you here. You are a coach right now. What do you look for in a player, number one? And number two, I'm going to hit you with this one. What do you think is your vision about the NIL? I knew I was going to get you on that one. Go ahead.
Yeah, we get that. Like, first of all, as a coach, what I looked for was, I tell guys, like in the G League, you have 10-man roster. That's what you have. In college you have 15, but in G League you have 10. I would have 18 players in camp trying to get those 10 spots. So what I told them is, listen, in the first meeting, I said, listen, I'm not looking for the 10 best players. I don't want the 10 best players. I'm looking for the 10 players that make up the best team. That's what I want. I mean, I can't have 8 3-point shooters. I can't have 8 point guards that can't shoot. I can't, I want the 10 guys that make the best team. So guess what? If you're trying to make the team, you could be, I could cut you. And I've had many times when you cut players and you have guys that, take it and understand it, guys that are upset, guys that cry, guys that want to fight you, all kinds of things, and, but I'm going to tell you right now, some of the guys I'm going to cut here in about a week are going to be better players than the guys I'm keeping. What? How can you do that? What are you talking about? Yes, because, I want the 10 best guys that make up the best team, not the 10 best players.
Right.
So, if I'm looking, okay, I got a couple point guards, I got 3-point shooters, I got 2 bigs that protect the rim, I got a couple wing players, and what do I need? I need a 6'8" guy that can knock down a 3 and also defend, a 3-and-D guy. So I'm going to take him over someone that might be some 6'2" guy is better than him, just because he fits in better. So that's what, as a coach, that's what you look for. And I always tell players, if you want to make a team, play on a team, you need to give the coaches a reason to play you or keep you. You need to give them a reason, not a reason to cut you, but a reason to keep you. Okay, I can jump out of the gym. I can defend. I can shoot threes. I can pass. I can blah, blah, blah. I can dribble, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great. But here's things that you don't have to have any talent to do, right? Play hard all the time. Play hard, right? Be early. Be early to practice, right? Listen to the coach. Execute drills in practice. Be a good teammate. Encourage your players, your teammates. Encourage them. Don't, man, why don't you catch that pass? What's wrong with you? You know,
Mhm.
hey, be ready. I'm going to hit you again. There's two different things. That's what I'm looking for. What's your attitude like towards the referees? Are you whining all the time? Are you
Mhm.
Luca? Don't be Luca. Stop whining. Just play. You know,
Right.
how do you act to the referees? Are you respectful? Guess what? They're going to make bad calls. You're going to make bad plays. That's part of the game. Be respectful. I mean, you know, I had Earl Strom was a great referee in the NBA, and early in my career, he missed a call. I was fouled or something in Chicago, and so I was yelling and whining at him. And at the free throw line at the other end, he just looked at me and said, "Hey Mo, do you miss any shots?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I missed that call. Shut up and play." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." But those are the kind of players you're looking for. Who makes your team better? You know, body language. You know, how are you sitting on the bench? Are you up and looking and cheering? Or are you back here just like, man, I should be in the game, man. Why am I playing the game? What?
That is
How are you in the locker room? You know how you know when the coach is talking. Are you listening or ready? Or are you know trying to get on your phone or do something stupid like that? So as a coach, that's what I'm looking for. Now, you know, I want talent, right? I need guys that can make threes. I need guys that can handle and get them the ball. I need guys that can rebound, protect the rim, maybe block shot. I need all those guys. But at the bottom line is, I can get. There's hundreds of thousands of players. I can get those guys. I want the other thing. I mean, back in the day, I'll talk to Bulls, Celtics, Lakers that played with Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan, and everyone said they played hard as anybody in practice. They competed in every drill in practice. That's the people they were. So that's what I want as a coach. I want those people, and that's important to me. NIL money, transfer portal, in my opinion, has ruined college basketball. It's ruined it. I mean, so if I'm a player, I see like I was watching a game the other night from Hawaii or whatever in the Maui Classic, and they're talking about this player. He's been to 4 schools. What? You been to 4 colleges? That used to be a red flag. Why did he go to 2 schools? What's wrong? What did he do? Now it's no big deal. I go to 3 schools, 4 schools because I can transfer whenever I want. Coach
mhm.
Michael yelled at me today. Coach Michael isn't giving me the ball. Coach Michael is holding me back. Coach. So I'm just going to transfer because there's somebody else that's going to want me and pay me some money, and I'll just leave. So, in my opinion, what that does is it teaches these players and these young men. Remember, they're young men, they're young women, right? You're trying to teach them to mature. So what you're teaching them is when it gets going tough, it's not easy anymore, and you feel discouraged, just leave. Just leave. Don't fight through it. Don't try to, get through it and become a better person afterward. Just leave. Just leave. That's okay. I mean, no parent wants that, but that's what the transfer portal is doing. And now NIL money, I think players should get paid, but I think they let the horses loose without putting any restraints on them. There's no restraint on how much money they can make. There's no restraint on how they're getting paid. There's no restraint. So you just said, you just gave your 16-year-old son the keys to a Lamborghini and didn't teach him how to drive. Here you go. Good luck. I hope you make it. So I think that those combinations, the NIL money and the transfer portal has just really messed up college basketball, and I don't think they can ever come back from this because you know how it is, Mike. You can't put you know, the thing back in the bag, whatever it is. You can't, you know,
I,
you know,
I,
once you open Pandora's box, you can't get that back. And now what are you going to do? Because a lot of the college schools now, they're hiring for their basketball and football programs general managers, just like the pros, right? So Kansas, Duke, they have general managers, and what do? They do what NBA general managers do. They monitor and make efficiently the best they can their salary cap. They don't have a salary cap, but every team does, right? So Duke or Kansas or whatever, they can spend $20 million on players. University of Reno, Nevada, could probably spend 500,000. So that's their salary cap, but you have to have someone to manage it. And there's no salary cap. There's just salaries. You know,
wow.
I mean, even the NBA, the NBA salary cap now is 138 million a year. If you go over, there's penalties, and you got to pay money back, and all this other stuff. They've already accounted for all the stuff that could happen. In college, there isn't anything. So, what if I have a college and I have a donor here at Las Vegas, UNLV. I have some donor that's a chic billionaire, and I'm going to start giving players 5 million a year. Every one of my players is going to get 5 million a year. Well, nobody can compete with that. Where are you going to be? It's just
Which is my point always the fact that it's having an effect on the coaching aspect as far as recruiting is concerned. You find out a lot of the old time coaches are leaving because of the NIL and the transfer portal as well.
yeah. I mean, I agree that players should get paid something, but it needs to be set up or logical. I believe that a player should be able to transfer and play the next year if their coach takes a job somewhere else. I agree with that, but not whenever you want to, and not for whatever you want to. I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. That you could just leave whenever you want, and coaches. I'm telling you what, Mike. Um, if you hired me at some small college somewhere, South Dakota University State College, wherever, I don't care what it is, and you gave me $20 million of NIL money, I will get you in the Final Four next year. I'll get you in the
Absolutely.
Final Four next year. I know how to use that money. I'll get a
Right.
center. I'll get wings. I'll get some guards. And next year we will be in the Final Four if you give me $20 million NIL money. I can guarantee you that. And that's not the way college sports is supposed to be.
Exactly. That is absolutely correct. Wow. I mean, you gave some insightful information. I hope people are tuning in and learning about it. All the information given out as well. But yeah. So okay, now we got about 15 minutes left to go. Is there anything you want to talk about what you're doing right now and how people can? Because I know for a fact they're gonna want to get a hold of you and they're gonna want to pick your brain or maybe might be some youth out there that wants to learn from you.
Yeah, so my email is coachmo0044@gmail.com. That's coachmo0044@gmail.com. You can email me. I do consulting. I do speaking. I have a show on Facebook Live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called We Got Next, and it's also on YouTube. You can catch it on YouTube. We've had some great guests. We have Dr. Jay's been on there. Just Sidney Moncrief, Jack Sigma, a lot of people. I talk about stuff like this every week on my show. So that's how you can get a hold of me. I love talking basketball. I consult. I've worked out players. I've consulted with teams. Like I said, I just went to Reno and worked out 2 high school teams for the weekend. Did team workouts. So I'm here located in Las Vegas. I can get anywhere in the West Coast, but that's I love the game. I think I drive my wife crazy sometimes when I'm screaming at the television that, some guy's not moving or cutting, or why are you standing there, or what kind of shot are you taking, or, I used to play games with my teams that we'd watch the game from last night, the whole game, and I'd pause it after every shot, and then I ask the players, is this a good shot or a bad shot? And it's
Ooh,
amazing that a lot of players don't know that. They don't understand. Like all
wow.
shots that go in aren't good shots, and all shots that miss aren't bad shots. And all I want to do as a coach for our team is to have us take good shots. Don't turn the ball over. Play hard, play smart, play together. Take good shots, not bad shots, and we'll win a lot of games that way. And if you're not a 33 plus percent 3-point shooter, you can't shoot threes on my team. Sorry.
Makes sense to me.
You
Yep.
could you could shoot two a game, and you better make one of them. That's how you get your shooting percentage up.
That's fact. That's factual. Now, I want to go back to you because we only got a few minutes. I'm so honored that you came on my show. What is your best recollection of your uh, greatest, fondest memories of becoming an NBA ball player, while you was an NBA ball player, and when and if you will reflect? What will you reflect on?
Well, I think I'm 67 years old. I've been retired for a long time. My body is broken up the way I played. I have 6 foot surgeries. I've had 6 knee surgeries. I have a knee replacement. I have a hip replacement. Um, I have bad shoulder. I've been through it all, but I would do it all over again because I love the game of basketball. I think I played the way you're supposed to play. I think I did whatever I needed to do to help the team win. That's what I look, and having a 12-year NBA career. I don't. Scott Pollard, who's a fellow Jayhawk with me, who's
Mhm.
actually had a heart transplant. 2 years ago, he's had a heart transplant,
We
and
know that.
he's been going through that. But I posted something the other day about there's only been 4,200 NBA players ever in the history, and then he posted back that there's only been, I think, 500 players that have played more than 10 years in the NBA ever, and I'm one of them. So I'll
Yeah.
look back, and my career is, I wanted to get 10 years in, I got 12 in. I'll look back on that. I'll look back on, even the crappy bus rides and and the getting stuck in the airport because of a snowstorm. I look back over those fondly. Of being in the locker room, being together as a team. That's one thing when you're done as a player. You can get some of that back when you coach, because you're with the team and you travel with the team and you're on practice with the team and meetings and all that. But you can't get the exact feeling of being part of a team, being a teammate. Like 12 guys going through the ringers together. Bad times, good times. Getting through it, and then even in the pro level, when it gets teammates have had problems with family members or sickness or whatever, and you're more than just a friend when you're a teammate, and you're more a family. You're kind of in between family and friend, and I think that those relationships, those feelings of um, being able to run out the tunnel in the Boston Garden in
Mm.
game 7 of the East Coast Finals, knowing winner goes on, and being able to make a jump shot and quiet the crowd down, and maybe Larry Bird makes a jump shot and your ears are ringing so hard you can't hear in the huddle, or Jack Sigma is this close to your face screaming at you and you can't hear him because it's so loud in there. Um,
Ooh.
you know, and the excitement of sweeping the Celtics out of the playoffs in a year, and then the down of losing in Game 7 in Boston Garden, not getting to the NBA Finals, and being in the locker room where grown men are crying because they couldn't get it to the finals. Those things you can't imitate, and you can never
No.
get them back. That's why a lot of former players struggle when they retire because they can't get some. Okay, I'm going to play golf. I used to be a good golfer. That'll get some excitement. Or a lot of them gamble. Okay, I'm going to gamble. Maybe I'll get that back. But nothing's going to be the same as what you've gone through as a player in the huddles, in the locker rooms, on the buses, on the planes, on the courts, you know, being in the LA Forum where I grew up, playing against the Lakers, who I grew up watching, playing against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was he was one of my idols, and then being on the floor and Jack Nicholson coming over and tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, Mo, don't go in there and beat up my Lakers tonight." Those things are, the other thing that you asked me about memories, and there's like the 21 points in the New York Garden and stuff like that against Patrick Ewing, stuff like that. I know, but one of the biggest memories I have that stand out is when we lost that Game 7 in Boston Garden, and for people that haven't got to the old Boston Garden, it was a pit. The locker rooms were little, they were hot, floor was terrible, but the fans were crazy but awesome at the same time. It was just, it's something that's not around anymore. But there, when you left the locker room, you went up an elevator and you actually got off and you walked out into the street. There's the subway and there's the train and the street. So your family and everybody waited for you after the game. So after we lost that game, I went and I met my wife and my agent. We're going to go get some seafood at the end of the season. And someone taps me on the shoulder and I turn around. It's Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, "Hey, Mo, walk around the corner with me." So we walk around the corner of the Boston Garden into this alley. If it's dark out, I don't want to be in there, but it was a day game. And he just looks at me. He goes, "Mo, I want you to know that in '79, we were waiting. We were like the next pick before Houston picked you, and I was going to pick you to be a Celtic because you play the way Celtics play. You play hard. You play selfish. You play for the team. You'll do whatever you can. And just so you know, I was going to pick you, and you would have been a Celtic." Now, really exciting for me to hear that. But at that time, I'm like, "Oh, great. Thanks a lot, man."
Right?
I could have had like 5 rings.
Oh, man. Wow. That's incredible. Wow. Great memories. Wow. Unbelievable. You have blessed me in my show. I can guarantee you that. Now, again, Brother Paul, we got about a couple of minutes left, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you coming on my show. And we have a lot of viewers who have been tuning into my show, and I would like you, if you could, to leave with something that can then make an impact on our viewers, because that's kind of one of my biggest things is to have my guests make an impact on the viewers. And you already have bestowed upon us all your knowledge, which is unbelievable. But if there's one more thing you could probably add to what you've already done, it would be greatly appreciated.
Well, first of all, tune in on Monday nights at 9 on Facebook Live. We got next, and we talk about basketball old school all the time, and we take comments and questions, and we answer them right online. But overall, I think I've seen everything from the Michael Jordans and the superstars, and then guys like me that have had a 12-year NBA career, and then along the line maybe guys that have played 3 or 4 years, and for the most part, on every person, whether you're the superstar, the medium range guy, or the lower level guy, or wherever you are in college or high school, enjoying your life, finding a niche for yourself in whatever you're doing, and accept your role, whatever that might be, and enjoying your life as well off the court as on the court is so important. I've been married for over 40 years. We have 2 sons. They're both married. That's as important as my basketball career. So don't forget about both of those things. And I'll leave with what I leave with a lot of people. Like, I've been asked, what's a pro? What is a pro? And most people think a pro basketball player is someone that gets paid to play basketball. I'm not a pro. A pro is someone that does what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, all the time. That's what a pro is. Whether you're a pro basketball player, football player, announcer, teacher, dentist, parent, do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, all the time. That's what a pro is. And that's what I share that all the time, because that could go for anything. Teacher, lawyer, dentist, doctor. If you do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, all the time, you're a pro. Or try to do it all the time, you're a pro.
How can I end after that? Paul, again, thank you for coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege, and hopefully you come back in the near future. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, what a tremendous show and a tremendous honor to have you on. But one thing I will say that a lot of folks don't know, but Paul and I know, back in the day, there were only 3 channels. There was no ESPN. There was nothing like that. They don't know about that, but that's for another day. But again, Paul,
and everybody didn't have one of these that has a camera in them. So.
Absolutely not. But again, Paul, thank you for coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege. Got to give a shout out to our good friend Dana Smith. Without him, I got to give him a great shout out. What a great person he is as well. And again, thank you, Paul, for coming on my show. God bless and stay blessed. Thank you.
All right, man.
And I have my man Paul McKeskey on my show. Thank you for tuning in to Sports Wave Network and my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man. Thank you all for tuning in. You all have a great night. God bless and take care. Thank you, Paul.
Yep.